Welcome back to part 2 of how a city develops or grows. So now we are now entering the 19th century, or in other words, 1800s, with the Industrial Revolution. Before I start, here's some improvements I've made. Okay, we now have entered the 19th century, or the Industrial Revolution period, to be exact. Fix some of this grass here, like we've forwarded in time a bit. It's soon announced that steam power has been discovered. For the first time, steam engines finally arrive. With this news, the locals realize, oh, if we build a factory, we can get more people here and more jobs. So they talk to a company who wants to open up a factory in, I'm going to say, the wool business. So the city tells them, hey, for a few $100s, we'll give you a nice property that's right outside town, and you can buy up our properties. They're like, absolutely, we have to buy this property. So they buy the property, and they begin building a new factory. And this also results in a change in lifestyle as well. With the building of factories, hundreds come in, start laying brickwork, foundations for the new factory. As the factory slowly goes up, people start to move in. And this becomes a problem. There's not enough housing. So what happens is the business will buy up a house, will buy up some properties. We'll just say they bought up this one here. Since I'm lazy and I don't want to tear it down manually, which is how they would have had to done it. So they start to build what are now known as terraced houses. And also at the same time, the factory will buy up the general store and start producing something, their own form of currency called, Nicks? Not Nicks. Excuse me, let me think. Nicks, no. Basically, they're like tokens. That you can only use at that general store. So one of the homeowners has sold his property and joins the board. And he'll get a new fancy mansion once we get to there. As the fire. This is taking forever, so let's hurry up this a little bit. And this is also what results in archaeology, especially on more later periods. The Industrial Revolution will vary older buildings, stuff like that, foundations. Actually, I should probably do that now before I lose it all to fire. I need to beat the fire to its own game. Oh. Oops. I just remembered. Okay, sorry about that. Did not realize it turned to a fire tick. Yeah, this is taking forever. So anyway, they buy the general store, they buy up the tent, they buy up the place. There we go, it is spreading, it's just going slow. Well, that's going. I need to quickly cover up the ground. And now this wire design I've done in the past is going to come back in to play here. If any of you have watched my Minecraft Blitz video, I'm going to use one of those buildings as a design choice. Oh shoot. So with that, the city, they buy up almost all the way to the church. We'll just say to here because I'm lazy and I don't want to drag this out too long. So let's start with the street front. They lay out the foundations, and I'm not building foundations in this case, but they start laying out terrace house plans. Well, since I'm kind of in a hurry, I'm just gonna put a random pattern to the houses, which is also a common thing of these houses, is that the designs were different, and anybody could who wanted to build could build a house as long as they bought a property. And then as those houses start going up, the factory also keeps going up. I need to finish the dang factory, that's why I came back over. Actually, I'll just come back and finish the factory. Okay, so the factory is finished being built. It's finished being built. And the pathway is built to employees get there. Oh shit, inside. It's a bit small. I've decided that this building is producing dyes for wool making, or for clothing making. So if we go downstairs, you'll see that they are this white gunk, we'll call it, is being tossed out a hole in the building into the river, which is now pollution, which is a problem during the Industrial Revolution, but there's no problem. There's no resolution to that problem yet. So, okay, with the now we need to raise these buildings. And this period is also the first time where brick is used more than any other time period. The 19th century. These will be 2 stories, but you will have to come right back. The first terraced house opens and people start moving in. I'll show you around this one, but it's small, which was not uncommon. And in fact, later on, this city will have problems with overpopulation and where people are dying just right in front of their door because there's too many people living in one house. And this is not an only problem this factory will cause. The next problem is when they buy up the general store. Not only do they have it enlarged, but they also changed the money policy. However, the city does get a more modern shopping experience with window fronts, but in reality, this is more of a danger to the citizens, as they lose real sense of what real American money means. And the workers end up getting paid in these factories with the factory's own money. So in other words, you have to use your own paycheck at the company's own place. And now let me build a better one of these, and you'll see it when you come back. I remember what the thing was that the factories would give their money. It's called script. So with this new script, with the script that people are not being paid with, working in the factory, they open up their new store where you can only spend their money. The factory system is smart enough to know that, hey, we're already going to build this, we can put a little bit more housing on. So on the second floor, they put some small apartments. And this is also the era when we finally get the apartments, finally, as well, this industrial period. With these now built, the town is now on its way to becoming a city of the future. But the city knows they're still going to need more housing. And the city will eventually realize that this is a losing battle. We're not going to be able to win. At the same time, a new road is being built. Again, represented by the black or brick shown here. New terrace housing is being planned already, behind already existing terrace housing. And this is very common. If you look at a place like Manchester, they'll build a road, and then if you go, you'll follow it, and terrace. And this is literally what it's like. I'm going to do some more ground leveling. But you'll see these finished in the next time we do this. It is common, believe it or not, to have a terrace house built right next to the factory, which is what this is perfectly going to represent here. With these new terrace houses going up, and these old ones going down, these older buildings go away like wildfire. Pretty soon nothing will be left except the church. And even then that church could get a huge replacement. But also during this time, building was uncontrolled. So like this, for example, is uncontrolled. But look how close we are to this person's toilet. You know, this old house's toilet already, you know. This is totally uncontrolled. And then not to mention, sanitation was sort of a problem during this period. Because the only place you had was these outhouses, and even then this is old and this has probably been replaced by now. the poorer class does not get what we now know as a modern toilet until almost like the early 20th century, I think. It's like something like the early 20th century. So until then, there was really no modern plumbing, nothing. So basically, this whole factory here had power. And it gets even worse for the poorer class. Because the rich, or the business owners, or factory owners respectively, will go out of town a little bit. I'm just going to place a door and remember me to build it. And they'll build huge mansions. So they gain power, and the poor that are so far away they can't even see the town. And by the way, the next time you come back, this will look a whole lot different. We are now entering what will now be the 1860s, with the factories dominating and terrace housing going up like there's no tomorrow. We're finally now entering modern cities. And this is how a lot of modern cities appeared for decades, for centuries. And you can still see this in some places. London still has quite a bit of it. Manchester still has quite a bit of this. And yeah, I need to finish these two. And you say that has Industrial Revolution in its name, so that success story is the Industrial Revolution. It's there somewhere. Next time I come back, these will be finished, and there will also be more of this. These two will probably go for more terraced housing. So basically, the only original building that will be left is this. And then also next time you see, I'll also have plans for the next thing. So now we're going to enter the 20th century. With the 20th century coming on us, we will finally have buildings that we now commonly associate with modern cities, i.e. shopping malls. Ooh, never mind, I just remembered. At the same time, now rich, the city finally decides to build a proper city hall. And move out of the church properly. Right now, I'm just going to put this on a wood foundation, but the next time you see it, which will be the next episode, it'll be all marble, shiny, looks better than the factory and these little houses. And here's another sign if you know if it's the Industrial Revolution period. If you have brick roads, this is also the changing of time from dirt to brick roads. So next time you come back, you'll see the mansions. So coming up, you'll see more mansions, more terraced housing, and more on part 3 of this growth of cities. And in the future, with these powerhouses dominating, the factories dominating and control all laissez-faire, that basically means hands off. These factories just grow like wildfire. Terrace houses go like wildfire. And in fact, next time you come here, you'll see a lot of terrace housing. And also and land claiming, because a lot of this area was farms. The factory just buys farms and they'll build their houses all the way out till tomorrow. Sometimes even the own factories get terrace housing built all around it. And also, fun facts real quick, I actually did not build a third smokestack. It's unfinished. But when you come back, it'll be a lot more finished. And with that, check back on part 3 when we finally enter the 20th century and reforms and improvements.